Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our in-depth video review of the HTC One. Now this isn't the familiar flagship device we've known for a while now running the Sense 5 interface. In fact, upon turning it on, you'll notice the first big difference here. It's actually running a stock Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean experience, so it's a pure Google device, which means that it's going to get updates significantly faster than some of the other devices out there. This is the same handset we all know and love. There's not really a whole lot different here with the Google Play edition of the HTC One, except for a couple different minor changes. But visually, it's an appealing looking handset with a memorable design. It has the same chamfered beveled edges and the aluminum casing as before, so it has a very stylish appearance with its overall looks, and it's very comfortable to hold even with it being so massive in size. The curved backing definitely helps in making it ergonomic, and it just has that combination of employing some quality materials, fantastic construction, which continues to make it one of the more memorable looking handsets out there. On the other side, we're greeted once again to the 2.1 megapixel camera, along with the LED notification light, the light and proximity sensors, and you have the micro dots here, which consist of its earpiece and its other front firing speaker. If we take a look around the sides of the HTC One, we're presented with all the same ports and buttons as before. On the right edge here, we have the volume control. It's a little bit on the flat side, and the responsiveness is rather flat too. Along the bottom, we have the standard microphone, and you also have the micro USB port for charging data connectivity. The left edge appears to be clean, but in fact, there is the micro SIM slot right in the top left corner. And finally, you have the 3.5mm headset jack. It's worth noting that the handset features Beats audio support, so you get those kicking tones with its output. And you'll also have the dedicated power button, just like before. It is flat to the touch, indistinct, and its responsiveness is very lacking, so you got to press it down numerous times just to get it to activate. It incorporates a built-in IR blaster, but seeing that it's running a stock version of Android, it's not activated. In the rear, we have that fancy ultra pixel camera. It's in fact 4 megapixels in size. You have an LED flash along with it. It features an f2.0 lens, so when you combine out the ultra pixel camera, it should produce some really nice low lighting images and has the ability to shoot 1080p video. As much as we would like to have seen this expandable storage with this version of the HTC One, unfortunately, it's still the same. It features only internal memory of 32 gigabytes, which boils down to actually 25.9 gigabytes out of the box. Even though it's the same from before, it's still gorgeous, it's vivid, and continues to be one of the most detailed displays out there in the market. It's a 4.7-inch 1080p Super LCD 3 panel in this version of the HTC One, so that's 1080 by 1920 pixels, which produces an amazing pixel density of 468 pixels per inch, meaning when it comes to fine details, especially in a zoomed out view in the web browser, you're not going to have any issues making out even the most faint of text. It's more than legible. On top of that, seeing that it is an LCD 3 panel in here, you get some very natural looking colors, not overblown or saturated like some other panel technologies out there. And on top of that, the viewing angles are great. The brightness output could have been a little bit stronger, so outdoor visibility might still prove to be a little bit of an issue. But overall, you can't deny that it's just one beautiful looking display on here. From the outside, you'd be hard-pressed to notice even the difference between this and the usual version of the HTC One, but you notice it upon turning it on for the very first time. You see it already in the lock screen. It is a stock Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean experience on here, so it's a pure Android experience, whereas the other one's running HTC's own Sense 5 user interface. Now, the nice thing about this is that you're going to get updates significantly faster just because there's no modifications or customizations whatsoever on this, and it's basically as stock Android as you can get. So if we take a look around the interface, you'll notice that everything is pretty much identical to any stock or vanilla Android experience out there. So if we turn it on, turn it off, get into the lock screen, the nice thing is that we have access to the camera. You have all the different widgets here. You can just swipe over to the left to gain access to the camera, or some other widgets you could actually put on there if you'd like. The home screen itself is broken up to your usual widgets, a lot of personalization, and of course it just has a very clean appearance. So the app panel is just like how you find it, along with the widgets right next to it. The app panel, of course, is very useful. You have Google Now on top of that, and the other useful thing here is if you press the button right there, you'll gain access to some of the common functions of the handset, like brightness, the connectivity settings, and whatnot. Very useful. But the thing here is that you're missing out on what made the HTC One so gorgeous, in the way that the Sense 5 user interface was very unique. It really stood apart from everything out there and gave the handset itself its character. Just like its close sibling, the Google Play edition of the HTC One features a quad-core 1.7 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 processor with 2 GB of RAM, and honestly, the speed here shows. It's very quick and effective, even for more processor-intensive tasks. Even with live wallpapers, it doesn't stutter or whatnot. You can see how fluid it is with the home screen, other basic operations, whether it be opening up applications, and even to an extent gaming or some other intense task. It's able to hold up its own. It's quick. We barely see any lag at any point, and you could tell just how quickly and smoothly it operates. Being a stock Android experience, of course, all the organizer apps are going to be different from the Sense 5 version of the HTC One. So whether you're using the calculator, the calendar, it's going to be the stock experience. You don't have any of those visual enhancements that you find with its Sense 5 counterparts. Seeing that it has a spacious display, it isn't tough typing up messages with the on-screen keyboard, and that's despite the fact that it's using the stock Google keyboard instead of the Sense one from before. Now with this layout, it might be a little bit more cramped, but it's still relatively easy to use. You don't have as many of the punctuations accessible from the main layout, only the numbers from the top row by doing long presses, but despite that, it's very quick, and you still have some of these swipe-like movements as well. This version of the HTC One matches the variant that is on AT&T right now, meaning that it has support for AT&T's HSPA Plus and 4G LTE networks. But if you're on T-Mobile, you will get LTE connectivity in this, but it lacks support for HSPA Plus. Aside from that, the web browsing experience is just fantastic. You're going to get fast page loads as long as you're on LTE. And of course, you're greeted to some instantaneous page rendering, some smooth navigational controls, and pinch gestures. So overall, the experience is quite fantastic. Being a pure Android device, it's only natural to find the Google Play Music application on here. So there's nothing relatively different in terms of the presentations and visuals. It's the same thing we have out there. And if you have Google Play All Access, you'll be able to stream as much music as you want with the service. Now, as far as the audio quality, thanks to the two front-firing speakers and its built-in amplifiers, it definitely helps to deliver an amazing sound experience. And when you combine the fact that you could also modify the equalizer settings, it just makes for a fantastic overall experience. High-definition videos pose no problem to the Google Play edition of the HTC One. When you combine its mighty processor with its vivid display, you just get the fantastic experience you'd only find on this device. Videos play very smoothly, a lot of detail, good color reproduction, and with those front-firing speakers, it just makes it so everyone can hear what's going on. Now, if you fall in love with the Sense 5 camera application, you might have a hard time trying to go back to the stock camera application here with the Google Play edition of the handset. Now, essentially, the biggest trade-off here is just the extensive set of features that you find with its counterpart. You do have some things you could actually modify. For example, you could change the exposure, the scenery. You could even modify the white balance, turn on the flash if you want, but it's just missing all those cool features, shooting modes, and other stuff that the Sense 5 version of the handset offers. And on top of that, it's missing also the Zoe feature too. However, with this, you actually have the ability to use the photosphere option here, so you could actually take a 360-degree view of your surrounding, which isn't yet available with the Sense 5 version of the handset, so at least you have this. So how does its ultra megapixel camera stack up this time around? It's very close in the way that it actually produces the same 4 megapixel snapshots as before. It features a very wide f2.0 lens and also backside illumination. Now, the combination of those two, you see the biggest advantage is found with lower lighting conditions, where it's able to actually brighten up shots, so it exposes more of the scenery. But the compromise is made that there's just a little bit of noise, just a little bit more than the Sense 5 version of the handset. But but you have this nice bokeh effect going on when you're taking something very close and where you see the background blurred a little bit. But in outdoor conditions, as long as there's plenty of lighting, even indoors, we really can't complain. It has a good balance between color reproduction, details. It's more than useful for small prints, but for larger ones, you might see a little bit degradation with its fine details. We're actually using T-Mobile's network here with the HTC One. Like before, we're happy to report that call quality is excellent with the handset just because we're greeted to crisp and very natural sounding voices on both ends of the line, and helps that the earpiece on the handset is very strong and powerful. Likewise, that's the same thing we get with the speakerphone quality. Packing along the same size 2300 milliamp hour battery, we're happy to say battery life, even with T-Mobile's network, is still top notch. In fact, even with heavy usage, which consists primarily of web surfing, checking email, sending texts, and an occasional phone call, we're able to get easily close to 24 hours out of a full battery charge, and that's heavy usage. If you're not as demanding, you'll surely be able to inch out more than that. At $600, it's really a tough sell for the Google Play edition of the HTC One. In contrast, you could pick up the Sense 5 running version over on AT&T for $200 with a 2-year contract, and that's of course with a subsidy. This you're just paying outright. Now, if you're a hardened Android user, this is something that might really appeal to you just because you have the stock Android experience, which means you're going to get a lot of the updates significantly faster than other handsets, and you still have the same design aesthetics as before. But on the flip side, it's like the device has an identity crisis or something, just because Sense 5 really made the HTC One stand out apart from its competition, and without it here, it just feels like any other device, Android device, running the stock experience. So if you want to learn more about the HTC One, the Google Play edition, guys, you could check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V. Thanks for watching.